Russia, a country claiming more of the Earth's globe than any other. This is a land of epic proportions. Here, colossal mountains eclipse the sun. Darkness and light go to war in the largest forests in the world. And one of Earth's longest rivers carves its way through a country almost twice the size of Canada. At these distant reaches of the compass, mysterious creatures lurk in the shadows. Caught in a glimpse before disappearing. Russia's lost worlds are a hidden paradise. Russia lays claim to much of Eurasia. But far beneath its borders, continents collide, plunging the landscape into watery depths in some of the largest landlocked lakes in the world. Lying to the east, Lake Baikal is known locally as the Sacred Sea. Its windswept waters have been a feature of this landscape for over 25 million years. This is the oldest and deepest lake in the world. Many believe that this is an ocean being born. As the last ice age receded, over thousands of years, Lake Baikal and its wildlife has been marooned, forced to adapt to increasing isolation with limited resources. Against all the odds, animals on Russia's remote shores have become masters of survival. In April, Baikal is still well within the grips of winter. For nearly half the year, the lake's entire surface is encased in ice over 3 feet thick. Cracks develop under the pressure, allowing oxygen to reach the animals trapped beneath. The water here is so clear that strange prehistoric sponges bloom year-round. In the north of the lake, the snow-covered pack ice provides a breeding ground for Baikal's most enigmatic creature. This lake is the only place in the world where truly freshwater seals can be found. These are Baikal seals. As the end of winter approaches, these mothers must leave their pups to fend for themselves, migrating to better fishing grounds. Some pups have already spent several weeks alone. This mound of fat and fluff is only 1 month old and hasn't yet found his forte in the water. In fact, he's barely even touched it. But life above the ice is brutal. The seal has no choice. His instincts drive him towards the water. But at such a young age, it's a terrifying prospect. Lake Baikal is over 5,000 feet deep. Who knows what could be lurking down there? At this time of year, the waters are freezing. Temperatures that would kill a human in under an hour. But he barely feels a thing. A thick layer of blubber protects him from the biting cold. For the first few weeks, he will stay close to the breathing hole. This is a maze of ice, and if he loses his way, he will drown. But even at this age, he's learning to adapt to these challenges. As he ventures further away from the comfort of his underwater nursery, he takes a safety net with him. He's creating his own air bubble, trapped under the ice. For weeks, he perfects the technique around the breathing hole. Oxygen from the surrounding water diffuses into the bubble, giving the Baikal seal an underwater breathing tank. Eventually, this bubble will melt the ice above and create a new breathing hole, allowing him to travel further afield in search of food. An ingenious solution to life under the ice. As he grows bolder, the ice above him is melting. Lake Baikal is slowly released from the shackles of winter, and its sheer scale in the landscape becomes more evident. At almost 400 miles long and 50 miles wide, this lake is larger than some countries. It holds a staggering 20% of Earth's unfrozen fresh water, more than all of North America's Great Lakes combined. Over several weeks, the ice slowly releases its chokehold on the lake. As the lake's water is freed, it flows with great force into the Angara River, Baikal's only outlet. The lake discharges nearly as much water as an Olympic swimming pool every second. The warm surface waters clash with the cold air and produce low banks of mist over the lake, obscuring the horizon. For Baikal's wildlife, this is the first real sign of spring. On the shores of Russia's Lake Baikal, spring doesn't arrive until well into May. The great thaw begins in the south. Snow melts and reveals patches of earth. New growth breaks through the soil, carpets the forest floor in grass and flowers. Trees slowly burst into life. At this time of year, the area around Lake Baikal is warmer than the rest of Siberia. The sheer volume of water in the lake gives the region its very own microclimate. Bringing spring early by several weeks. Tiny creatures break through the leaf litter, emerging in the warm sunlight. Millipedes are some of the earliest creatures to walk on land. Their ancestors were mini pioneers 414 million years ago. Since they arrived, they've been essential to the health of the ecosystem, recycling decaying vegetation and processing it into nutrient-rich soil. Newborn beetles also investigate the new world above ground. For nearly a year, this beetle has existed merely as a grub, feeding endlessly until finally pupating into its finished form. The forest floor is alive with insects, but some prefer to emerge after hours. A juvenile woodlouse is navigating the leaf litter. These creatures aren't actually insects, but crustaceans. They're more closely related to shrimps and crabs than anything else found on the forest floor. They evolved in the ocean and still breathe through gills. Remarkably, it's creatures like these that hold the key to the history of evolution and life on Earth as we know it. Like the millipede, they are keen recyclers of the forest floor. Little does it know, it's being stalked by another oddity in the undergrowth. Pygmy shrews have some of the highest metabolic rates of any animal, so they're constantly looking for food. This male needs to eat every 2 hours, consuming up to 125% of his body weight every day. Woodlice are a delicacy. The woodlouse puts up a struggle, but it's no match for the shrew, and is hungrily devoured in seconds. Because of their marine past, the exoskeleton of woodlice is made up of minerals, providing the pygmy shrew with calcium, magnesium, sodium, iron, and even copper. A walking multivitamin. But one just isn't enough. An even bigger meal is right around the corner. This woodlouse can afford to be reckless with his own safety. He has an excellent defense strategy. It's shrew-proof. The pygmy shrew wasn't expecting that. Once the coast is clear, the triumphant woodlouse continues on his way, completely unscathed. Not every woodlouse can do this, but those that evade capture can live up to 4 years. That's over twice as long as this pygmy shrew. On the other hand, this creature only has a few months left to live. It's no wonder at his pace. As dawn breaks over Baikal, the hard months of winter seem a distant memory. Waves lap the shore without a trace of ice anywhere. The temperature in Baikal isn't the only thing that's heating up. It's the season of romance for an awkward amphibian. After hibernating throughout winter, the mating season for moor frogs begins with a bang. Males clamber over females, and as with almost all frogs, conception occurs outside the body. The couple release eggs and semen at the same time. The rest is left to chance. With any luck, these clouds of frog spawn will soon become tadpoles. Once fertilized, the eggs absorb water, helping hold them at the surface. They need sunlight and oxygen if they've any hope of developing. The eggs are black to help absorb heat. To increase their chances of survival, the embryos are surrounded in a foul-tasting jelly. Moor frogs are one of the most abundant amphibians in Russia, and this is the easternmost limit of their range, a real feat for such a tiny creature. While Baikal edges into spring, nearly 3,000 miles across the country, in Russia's temperate west, summer has almost arrived. Here, the southern border descends into a shared sea. Hidden among remote and forgotten lands, at nearly 12 times the size of Lake Baikal, lies the largest landlocked body of water on the planet, the Caspian Sea. This is the remnant of an ancient ocean, marooned over 5 million years ago by sinking sea levels. Technically, the Caspian is more of a lake than a sea. Since the Caspian became landlocked, its only water source has come from freshwater rivers, but it's evaporating faster than it's been filled. And in recent years, this sea has been shrinking. Over 80% of the Caspian's water comes from Russia's longest river, the Volga. Flowing more than 2,000 miles from the north, deep inside Russia, the river divides into hundreds of channels. At the northern edge of the Caspian shore, the Volga spills out into a wide, shallow delta, stretching 30 miles beyond the shoreline into the sea. These grassy lagoons harbor one of the delta's most prolific reptiles. At this time of year, hundreds of the delta's fish-hunting water snakes come ashore. This male dice snake has tasted something irresistible in the air. They congregate in a writhing mass. They've all followed a trail of pheromones from receptive females. Forming a mating ball, they each tussle for a sneaky chance to mate with any females that are tangled amongst them. There might only be one female here, so the competition among the males is fierce. One bachelor dice snake breaks from the crowd. He has a more subtle approach. He's picked up on the trail of another female, and he's hunting her down. He courts her by seductively entwining his body with hers. This tactile foreplay is intended to excite. Finally, she's willing, and a persistent male is allowed to mate. Usually, they will be entwined for an hour. But for some couples, this process will last an entire day. However long it takes, the male will leave immediately after. He has two penises, and if he comes across another female, he will simply use the other to mate. You can never trust a snake. On Russia's western edge, hanging above the surface of the Volga Delta's waters, a small cotton fortress sways in the breeze. Penduline tits are well prepared for predators. Males are master architects of protected nurseries. Woven from animal hair and soft plant matter, the nest will take around 3 weeks to complete. A ring of twisted fibers forms the foundations and bears the weight of the nest. This is no simple structure. The male will add a false entrance as well as a hidden chamber, expertly deceiving any would-be intruders. As the structure develops, a nearby female inspects his progress. Impressed with his efforts so far, she joins him in the final stages. It's a vote of confidence in his architectural abilities. 10 days later, his nest is complete, and surprisingly secure, hanging over the water from a single twig. Finally, the moment he's been waiting for. But she's no featherbrain. The female Penduline tit has a deceptive side. She creates a hidden pocket in the lining of the nest and conceals her eggs one by one. He will leave as soon as the chicks are born. So for days, she lets him believe she hasn't laid any eggs, and he dutifully continues bringing her food. When her chick's due date approaches, she uncovers the eggs and flees the nest, leaving him to discover the clutch and fulfill his paternal duties totally alone. And they begin sooner than he would like. An agile predator stalks the undergrowth. With tufted ears and a short tail, the jungle cat is slightly smaller than the lynx, and it's more closely related to the domestic cat. Unlike most cats, jungle cats love the water, so the Penduline tit's careful placement of its nest and opportunistic moat is useless against this hunter. He's a stealthy assassin, and patience is key. He waits for the perfect moment. Tantalizingly close, the hanging buffet is just out of reach. At this time of year, it's mating season for just about everyone. Upstream in the Volga's fast-flowing tributaries, male grailing cluster together, waiting for a remarkable event. They're finally sexually mature. It's been a 5-year wait, and they wouldn't miss it for the world. Males advertise themselves with vibrant dorsal fins and vie for the best position in the current, all the time swimming upstream. It's an exhausting experience, but it will be worth it. Arriving fashionably late a few days later, the females finally join them. After finding a mate, the male grailing courts her by holding her against him and vibrating his body, encouraging her to release her eggs. The male in turn fertilizes the eggs, which are then swept downstream. Like the moor frog, their success relies on numbers. This female might lay as many as 36,000 eggs. In 5 years' time, they too will return to breed in the shallow waters that feed Russia's Volga Delta. On the shores of the Caspian Sea, one of Russia's most formidable hunters is hungry for blood. Russia is a stronghold for the white-tailed sea eagle. At 8 feet wide, their wingspan is larger than any other eagle in the world. And their talons are nothing short of knives. Ducks and coots are helpless against this ruthless assassin. The eagle spots a loner. The coot resists being taken. Using all his strength, he tries to pull away. Success. Wounded, he swims away as fast as he can. The story isn't the same for everyone. Another unfortunate coot has been caught. Something distracts his captor. The coot may be in luck. But his broken leg can't carry him fast enough. And the white-tailed sea eagle shows no mercy. As cruel and ruthless as this may seem, hunting is a necessary part of life on the Delta. And these birds of prey aren't the only assassins here. Stalking the marshes, squacko herons have their eyes peeled for prey swimming in the shallows. Their long, thin legs ensure they pick their way through the water with grace, barely disturbing the surface. They stare motionless at the water, waiting for the perfect moment. A single ripple could give it away. His beak is like a hunter's spear. In the blink of an eye, the squacko heron makes the hit. A goby fish falls victim. But squacko herons aren't fussy. Amphibians, crustaceans, mollusks, and sometimes even small birds are on his menu. And also, perhaps, whatever his neighbor is having. The Volga Delta is a labyrinth of hundreds of small channels and rivers. Each one carries sediment from the mainland further out to sea, advancing the Delta's claim to the ocean more every year. This is good news for the Delta's birds. Over 230 different species call the Volga Delta home. As night falls, the trees and bushes lining the water's edge grow heavy with a feathery cargo. But elsewhere on the Caspian shores, some creatures are only just stirring. A lone cricket takes his chances in the moonlight. They're a staple food for many animals here. But luckily, crickets are a last resort for Jaboas. Their features are exaggerated. Bulbous eyes and oversized ears give this animal exceptional sensory perception, helping it to navigate in the dark and detect predators before being seen. An unusual member of the rodent family, these creatures are extremely shy. Everything about them is adapted for a quick getaway. They move like tiny kangaroos, using their long legs to hop at speeds of up to 16 miles an hour. Jaboas can live for around 5 years and spend most of their lives alone. This male isn't yet 1 year old. At such a young age, he's still getting to grips with life on the Delta's dunes. This Jaboa spent winter in hibernation and seems to be making up for it now. He spends all night hopping around and messing about in the sand. And, of course, very importantly, reorganizing rocks. Dust bathing has numerous uses. Some scientists think that dust bathing leaves chemical cues in the sand for other Jaboas. But for this little guy, it could just be a way of relaxing. As summer draws to a close in western Russia, the cold has already returned to the shores of Lake Baikal. Ice builds slowly where the water meets the land. Waves lap and cling onto rock as icicles. In a matter of days, the pebbles along the shoreline are encased in a crystal glaze. Winter is reclaiming the lake, but it will take several months before the lake is frozen solid. For Baikal's wildlife, the signals are clear. They must make the most of the mild days they have left. The start of fall finds the Baikal seal living among a colony of its kind. These rocky outcrops are a haven for seals during the summer. They congregate to bask in the last of the summer sunshine. But space comes at a premium. It's first come, first serve here. Latecomers struggle for a spot. But this young pup has already learned a few tricks. Splashing the water sends a danger warning to the colony. Who dive for safety. He quickly makes the most of the confusion. The Baikal seal pup has earned his place here, and he deserves the break. Winter is coming, and it will be his first one spent entirely alone. As autumn moves ever closer to another hard winter, the creatures of Lake Baikal prepare for the times ahead. For some, this means leaving altogether. Baikal teal, having made the most of the lake's algae offerings, leave in their droves. They will spend winter in Southeast Asia, but this is their true home. For the animals and plants of Lake Baikal and the delta shores of the Caspian Sea, this is much more than a habitat. These waters have defined their species, forcing the hand of evolution. As the Volga Delta claims more and more of the Caspian shore, this sea is shrinking. Meanwhile, on the other side of Russia, history is being born. Baikal is a young ocean, yet to realize its full potential. For the creatures of these wild places, survival has meant adapting to isolation in innovative ways. Despite the hardships they must endure, for the creatures of Russia's sacred shores, life continues, a triumph against all odds.